The blade sang through the air, trailing fire that burned without consuming. Commander Lyra of the Ashborn Legion watched it arc through the vacuum-shielded arena, her expression carved from stone. The weapon should have cleaved through the human's torso. Instead, it clattered against the reinforced floor 10 meters behind him, smoking and dark. Thomas Reeves stood in the center of the combat circle, breathing hard. His environmental suit had a new tear across the chest plate where the sword had passed within a millimeter of ending his life. The merchant captain from Earth had come to negotiate trade routes through Ashborn territory. He had not expected a trial by combat. The challenge had been ceremonial. Lyra assured him through the translator device. A formality. Her youngest warrior would face him with dulled practice weapons. Standard procedure for verifying the worthiness of potential trade partners. That was before Thomas had disarmed the warrior in 14 seconds. Now Lyra herself stood across from him, and the sword that lay smoking on the ground was no practice weapon. It was Morning's Edge, her family blade, forged in the heart of a dying star and quenched in the tears of a comet. The weapon had drunk the blood of champions across 17 worlds. Thomas approached the fallen sword carefully. His species had only achieved faster-than-light travel 3 generations ago. Humans were newcomers to the galactic community, inexperienced and unproven. They had no warrior tradition that the elder races recognized. No battle honors. No songs of glory spanning millennia. He bent down and reached for the hilt. The weapon screamed. Not metaphorically. The blade released a sound that bypassed his ears and struck directly at his nervous system. Thomas fell backward, clutching his hand. Where his gloved fingers had touched the metal, smoke rose. The material of his suit, designed to withstand micrometeorite impacts and corrosive atmospheres, had burned through to the skin beneath. Lyra took 3 swift steps forward. Her hand hovered over the sword, but did not touch it. Around the arena, her warriors shifted. Thomas heard the hum of weapons powering up. "The blade rejects you," Lyra said. Her voice carried the weight of pronouncement. "As I suspected. You have no right to touch it. No right to stand in this circle. No right to negotiate as equals with the Ashborn." Thomas looked at his burned hand, then at the sword, then at Lyra. The pain was remarkable. His medical implant was already flooding his system with analgesics, but the burn continued to throb with a heat that seemed to come from somewhere beyond physical injury. "I was trying to return it to you," Thomas said. "Morning's Edge returns to no hand but mine. You should have known this. You should have left it where it fell." That seemed rude. The commander's eyes narrowed. Among the Ashborn, eye color indicated rank and lineage. Lyra's eyes were the deep red of noble blood, of warriors who had held command for 10,000 years. They had witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations. "Rude," she repeated. "You speak of rudeness while standing in a combat circle with a commander of the Ashborn, while daring to touch a soul blade without permission, while surviving what should have killed you 3 times over in this engagement alone." Thomas got to his feet. His hand hurt tremendously, but he had spent 5 years hauling cargo through disputed space, fixing broken engines with improvised tools, and negotiating with species who considered his people barely sentient. Pain was familiar. "Commander Lyra, I came here to discuss trade routes. You insisted on this combat trial. I participated in good faith. I have no desire to claim your weapon or challenge your honor. I simply thought it would be appropriate to return the sword to you rather than leave it on the ground." Good faith. Lyra's hand finally closed around Morning's Edge. The blade sang again. But this time the sound was different. Welcoming. The fire that had died when it fell reignited along the blade's length. "You speak of good faith while making a mockery of our traditions. I didn't mean to mock anything. Your species never means to do anything. You stumble through the galaxy like children, breaking things, surviving things that should destroy you, and calling it diplomacy. Thomas considered this. It was not entirely inaccurate. Humanity's first contact had involved a human exploration vessel, accidentally drifting into a funeral procession and playing what they thought was respectful classical music. The music had been Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. The funeral had been for a religious leader who had preached silence as the highest virtue. The resulting diplomatic incident had taken 11 years to resolve. "If I've broken protocol, I apologize," Thomas said. "Perhaps you could explain what I should have done." Lyra held Morning's Edge at her side. The flames along its length cast dancing shadows across her armor. Around them, her warriors remained absolutely still. Thomas had the distinct impression that they were waiting for something. "When a soul blade falls in combat," Lyra said slowly, "it means its wielder has been defeated. To touch such a blade is to claim the right of victory, to seize the honor and status of the defeated warrior. Do you understand?" "I understand that I was trying to be helpful." "Helpful." Lyra's laugh was sharp. "The blade burned you because you have no right to claim victory over me. I dropped the weapon intentionally. I wished to see what you would do." Thomas blinked. "You dropped it on purpose?" "A test. When a warrior shows unexpected skill, when they move in ways that should not be possible, when they survive what should kill them, we investigate. We verify. We determine if they are truly skilled or simply fortunate. And the verdict?" Lyra raised Morning's Edge. The flames brightened until Thomas had to squint against their light. "You moved like a novice. Your footwork was terrible. Your defense was instinct rather than training. You should have died when I made my first strike. But I didn't." "No, you did not. You shifted your weight at precisely the right moment, not through skill, but through fear. You survived because your body's panic response happens to align with optimal combat movement. It is the most infuriating thing I have ever witnessed." Thomas wiped sweat from his forehead. "So what happens now?" "Now you have created a problem." Lyra began walking in a slow circle around him. Her warriors tracked her movement. "You touched a soul blade without permission. The penalty for this is death. However, the blade rejected you, which means you are not attempting to claim victory. This creates ambiguity. The Ashborn do not appreciate ambiguity. I'm getting that impression. There are 3 possible interpretations of what occurred. First, that you are a fool who does not understand our ways and should be executed for your ignorance. Second, that you acted with deliberate disrespect and should be executed for your insolence. Third, that you demonstrated a quality we did not expect from your species." Thomas waited. His hand continued to throb. "Humans are weak," Lyra continued. "This is known throughout the galaxy. Your bones break easily. Your skin tears. Your bodies fail in environments that other species find comfortable. You have no natural weapons, no armor, no venom or claws, or the ability to survive vacuum. You are soft. We're aware of our limitations. And yet you persist. You show up where you are not wanted. You survive things that should end you. You try to return soul blades to commanders who are testing you, and you do so without considering that this might result in your immediate death." Lyra stopped walking. She stood directly in front of Thomas, close enough that he could feel the heat radiating from Morning's Edge. "Why did you reach for the blade?" "I told you. It seemed like the right thing to do. Even knowing it might kill you?" Thomas looked down at his burned hand. "I didn't know it would do this specifically. But I've learned that most cultures appreciate when you make an effort. Even if you get it wrong, trying matters." Lyra was quiet for a long moment. Then she turned to face her warriors. "Lower your weapons," she commanded. The hum of charging power cells died away. Energy rifles returned to standby mode. Blades were sheathed. The tension in the arena shifted. Thomas exhaled slowly. The third interpretation, Lyra said, turning back to him, is that humans possess a quality we did not recognize. Not strength, not skill, not honor in the way we understand it, but something else. A persistence, a willingness to extend courtesy even when afraid, even when injured, even when it might result in death. Is that a good thing or a bad thing? I have not decided. Lyra sheathed Morning's edge. The flames vanished, leaving only the scent of ozone and burned metal. Your hand will heal. The burn is symbolic rather than permanent. The blade was testing you as I was. Did I pass? You survived. For humans, perhaps that is the same thing. Lyra gestured, and one of her warriors approached with a medical kit. We will negotiate your trade routes. Not because you proved yourself in combat, but because you have shown me something I did not expect to see. Your species may be weak in body, but you are stubborn in ways that I am beginning to understand might be more dangerous than strength. As the warrior tended to his burned hand, Thomas watched Lyra return to her position at the edge of the arena. She moved with the grace of someone who had spent lifetimes perfecting the art of war. He moved like someone who had spent 5 years trying not to get killed in deep space. Sometimes, he reflected, survival was its own form of victory. The negotiations took 3 days and resulted in a trade agreement that opened 7th.